Hey guys, Michael Cheek again. This is the second video for Love by John Lennon, acoustic version. And the part we're going to learn now is after the first two verses. This is kind of the bridge of the song. I actually like this the best. This is my favorite part of the song. This is the section where it goes into, the lyrics are love is you, you and me, love is free, free is love. That whole section. So the chord progression kind of changes. So at this point, you've played the verse, that first verse, 2 times in a row. So that first chord progression I showed you in the first video, you've gone through that. And now you're going into the bridge of the song. Okay? Now, once I teach you this chord progression, you're only going to play it 1 time through. Okay? So just once for this, and then it's going to be back to the verse with a couple of small changes. But, again, we just have all standard chords here. D. Now, we do have an F here, so if you haven't played the F before, it's kind of like the F sharp minor bar chord I showed you earlier, but it's back one and put your middle finger down on the G string. So it's bar on the 1st fret, put your 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the A string, pinky on the 3rd fret of the D string, and then middle finger on the 2nd fret of the G string. Every other string is barred in the 1st fret. Okay, so that's your F chord. Now, and we also have G, which you know. There's D again. We do have an E minor here instead of the E minor 7. So the only difference between those two is you actually have your 2nd finger down on the 2nd fret of the D string. So it's open, 2nd fret, 2nd fret, open, open, open. So that's your E minor chord. Okay. The pattern for finger picking here is pretty much the same. Your first 3 fingers, 1, 2, 3, this time for this whole section, they're going to stay on those skinny strings, E, B, and G, so you don't have to worry about moving them down. But we do have the same kind of issues with the bass notes. They change during the chorus, so I'll point that out. And basically, let's get going now. We got that out of the way. Okay, so you're going to start off with the D chord. Bass note's going to be on the D. And then it's going to go to the A string, and then we're going to the F bar chord, but our bass note's going to be on the A string, so now it switches to the E, then the G chord, bass note on the E string, now bass note switches to the A string, then we're going to go to the D chord, and both bass notes are going to be on the D string here, so 2 times in a row with the bass note on the D string. Okay, now we're actually going to repeat that D chord. We're still going with it 2 more times. Then E minor, bass note on the E string. Now it switches to the A. Go to the G string, and we're going to use our bass note on the thick E string. Now that bass note switches to the A string, and then we're going to go to the D chord here. Bass note both times is going to be on the D string, but I want to point out that it's a decrescendo here. Basically, it gets real quiet, and you can hardly hear it. Your rhythm will still work, but just play it really softly. And that's it. That's the whole section. I'll play it for you real quick. It goes straight through, really easy. D chord. Like that. So as you can see, it's a pretty short part, but that takes you through the bridge of the song. And that if you're curious of where we're landing at in the song, again, those are the parts. I'm looking at the lyrics on my other computer screen over here. It's love is you, you and me. Love is knowing we can be. Love is free, free is love. Love is. Oh no, that was too far. Love is you, you and me. Love is knowing we can be. I think that's the part. So, I think that's the section. Let me see. Yes, okay. I was just double checking there to make sure I was right. Sorry for the long pause. Okay, now it's probably going to be okay for me to go ahead and teach you this next part of the song because that was so short. So we're actually going into the verse again, but we're just going to make a couple of small changes. Nothing that's that big of a deal, but because we're coming to the end of the song, it does a couple of things just to vary the way he's playing it, but not a lot. So the chords are actually going to be exactly the same as we played in the verse to start with, but again, we don't have that initial D chord. We just start on the second D chord, that I talked about. So, the chord progression is going to be, all the way through it's going to be D, F sharp minor, C sharp 7, F sharp minor, D7, G, A7, D, F sharp minor, E minor 7, A7, and D chord. Now on that last D chord, he kind of does some flourishes, and I'll tell you how to do them. But that's the whole thing, okay? And you just play it one time through, and the song ends. So it's pretty simple. So let's go ahead and get started. This is going to start with the D chord. Both bass notes are going to be on the D string this time. So here's the D chord. Then F sharp minor, bass note on the A string. Switch it to the E. Now here's where we're going to the C sharp 7 again. So remember, bass notes on the A string. These three fingers move up to the B, G, and D strings, okay? So do that once. Now we're going to, remember, lift that third finger, move it over to the 4th fret of the thick E string, and now that's our bass note, so move your thumb over there. Okay, now we're switching back to the F sharp minor, so that switches back, but our hand stays the same, so our strings here are B string, G string, and D string again, and our bass note is on the A string. Now switch that bass note to the E string. Okay, now we're going to reset things, go to the D7 again, back to the skinnier strings here, bass notes on the D string. Now it moves to the A string. G chord, bass note on the thick E string. Switch it to the A string now. A7 chord, both of these bass notes are on the A string. Now D chord, bass note on the D. And then this time is where it changes. This time when you go to this second bass note, you don't go to the A string. You wrap your thumb around and get a 2nd fret on that thick E string. Okay, so it'll sound like this. Okay, and actually it doesn't actually do that. It goes, do that if that's what you're most comfortable with. Okay, but if you think you can handle it, do this, because this is actually what he really does. Go bass note on the D string first, and then 1, 2, 3, just the way I showed you. But now you're going to play 2nd fret on the thick E string, and then one time with your 3 fingers, and then open on the A string with another bass note, and then these 3 strings again. But instead of hitting one more time to get your 3 in, you're switching right to the next chord, which is an F sharp minor. Okay, so it's going to sound like, starting on that D chord, it's going to sound like. Okay, so. One more time. D chord. You'll recognize it if you listen to the song closely. This is really pretty close to the end right here. So I switched to the F sharp minor. I had my bass note. You saw me play it on the thick E string. Then we switch it to A. And then we're going to go E minor 7. And that's going to be bass note on the thick E string. Now switch it to the A A string. Now we're going to go to the A7. Bass note 2 times in a row is going to be on the A string. And then this time, instead of just continuing that a bunch, you're going to go, just hit the bass note a few times in a row right there, and then go to the D chord. And really what he kind of does here is just play around with the D chord and then strum it through once. And then you're going to end up going to end it off with a high F sharp minor bar chord to a high D bar chord. And that's that really high chord. It might be really hard for you to figure out if you haven't gotten familiar with bar chords, but that's what that is. So kind of play around with the D a little bit. Strum that, and then you're going to bar in the, so that's the 9th fret, all the way across 5 strings. So that's there. Then 3rd finger is going to be on the, let's see, that's the 11th fret of the D string. Your pinky is going to be on the 11th fret of the G string. Your middle finger is going to be on the 10th fret of the B string. And then your first finger is barring everything else except for the E string. You're muting that one. So it's barring everything else back in the 9th fret. Okay, so that's that second to last chord. Strum through it like that. And then go to pretty much the same shape, but move it up a fret and up a string. So we're going to a D bar chord. So that's barring all the way across the 10th fret with your first finger. And then your 3rd finger is going to be on the 12th fret of the A string, pinky on the 12th fret of the D string, and middle finger on the 11th fret of the G string. Okay? I just strum through that really slow, just to end out the song. Okay, now I'll try to play all the way through the song in one shot, or at least through the sections along with the song, so you can actually see the chords being changed with the song and everything. I tend to not like to sing with the music because I'm just not a great singer, so I'll save me the embarrassment and you the hassle of having to listen to me sing. So I will do